Alright, take two. This is my entry into Brain Smashers contest. Shot this video once, and I was in the process of editing it, and realized that all I'd done was ramble for a half hour in the most boring way possible. So, fuck what I was going to talk about. I'm going to talk about something else. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeremy. Welcome to Strange Radios. Last year, 2018, tried to do stuff with this channel, couldn't really find a way to make it work. Early 2019, I was doing album reviews, one a week for like the first 7 weeks of the year, got burned out, didn't really feel like going on with that, and have kind of been in that mood since. But what's happened here is Ben, I call you Ben like we're friends, brainsmasher, with his contest, has sort of lit a fire up under me again, and I want to start doing videos. I don't know that they're going to be album reviews, but maybe they will. It might just be rambling. Anyways, let's get into it, because like I said last time, it was like a half hour of just nonsense. So, for the contest, what I'm going to do is basically, I picked 5 albums at random that I'm going to sort of talk about briefly, and I thought to myself, like, what would brainsmasher sort of want out of this? Like, what would he find interesting? And the idea here is that I bring something unique to the table. I'm not in the music scene. I've never really been in a band. I'm not in the circle of friends that are musicians. Like, I'm not in that scene. But I am from rural Ontario, Canada. And from what I can tell, there's not a lot of metal YouTubers from this area. Kind of makes sense, but at the same time, kind of sucks. Because I would definitely like to see more of us. And so what I figured I would do is I would take 5 albums by 5 Canadian bands that are less well known, a little more obscure, and I would just talk about them for a little bit. Let's go. First up, Obscene Eulogy, Defining Hate. The Truth Undead? Yes. Sorry about that. This is a band from New Brunswick, out east. And they are a melodic black metal band with some death metal elements for sure. The guitar melodies are pretty memorable. They do have keyboards sort of laced throughout their songs, which if you don't want that in your black metal, then obviously stay away. But the keyboards in this, how do I explain it? The production, the ideas they have for the music reaches further than their financial status allows, if that makes any sense. The production isn't as great as their ideas need it to be. So the keyboards, they don't sound cheesy, they're not bad, but they're definitely not as good as, they're not as grand, I think, as the songwriters wanted them to be. They sort of sit just above mediocre. But overall, the album's pretty cool. Like I said, melodic black metal. There are death metal elements that sort of find their way in here. The rhythm section changes back and forth for black metal, death metal grooves. It's pretty cool. Vocals are interesting. While the band is from New Brunswick, they've had 2 lead singers, both from Finland, strangely enough. So most of the lyrics on here are Finnish. And this band, this band's definitely, they're on hiatus or whatever, you know, they're on hold, whatever that means. Some of the band members have gone on to form Coffin Birth, which is somewhere back here in the collection. I can't be bothered to look for it. But yeah, Defining Hate, The Truth Undead by Obscene Eulogy. And I got this off, was it Binderun website? Some website. I found it for like $3.99. Pretty good. Up next, Cephaloectomy with Sign of Chaos, their debut album. You can see on the spine there, True Northern Mystigrind, which is the genre that they've given themselves. So it's grindcore, and production-wise, it sounds like grindcore. What makes this band stand out, though, is that these songs go on for 4.5, 5.5 minutes, of just grindcore, and it's really funny because the lyrics, you can't understand them. There's two vocalists, one that does the low sort of pig squealing sounds and one that does the very high-pitched shrieks, and they're sort of going back and forth, but the lyrics are so goddamn like dense, condensed, because they're all like these weird ethereal Lovecraftian stories and references to mythical gods and places, and it's just a bizarre project. If I remember, I'll put some lyrics up on the screen here, and that's from like, that is one small portion of like a 4-minute grindcore song. The band, I do believe, split up now. Some of the band members have gone on to form a horror-themed grindcore band that I'm not particularly fond of. I don't remember the name of it at the moment. CD number 3. This is a band called Odium, because there aren't enough bands called Odium in the world. This is their debut, At the Bottom. This band I actually auditioned for. So they're from my area, and this is their debut from 2009. So in 2008, my brother worked with the lead singer, Tom, and they were looking for a bass player. I played bass, my brother gave my number, we set up an audition. I went and met Tom, cool dude. I met Joe, the drummer, and for a couple hours he and I sat in a room and he was showing me all these riffs. And they were fun. Had a good time, had a good audition, I think it went well. When it came around for the second audition, they're going to bring me back. I just sort of backed out. I had just started a new job at the time, like less than 2 weeks in at that point. My gear was kind of shitty, and I didn't have my own car at the time either, so I couldn't drive myself anywhere. I felt like I couldn't commit myself to the band enough to do it, so just before the second audition, I told Joe, like, I can't commit to it. And I felt really bad, and within a year, they had released their debut album, so man, that would have been pretty cool, but wasn't to be. They're a melodic death metal band, and Tom, the vocalist, is great. He can do the screams, he can do the clean vocals really well. The issues with this band, I hate to say it, because they are nice dudes, really cool dudes, but whoever the lyricist in the band was, pretty bad. Generic fucking lyrics, you know. And every single song, especially on the second album, was so formulaic. It would be screaming in the verses, clean singing in the chorus, every song, and every song went verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. So there's that. Next, Battle Soul, Lay Down Thy Burdens. This is a folk metal band from London, Ontario, Canada, and I don't know these guys, never met them, but I know musicians who have met these guys. So very tenuous connection there, very tenuous. Some might say not a connection at all. And so yeah, folk metal, really good production on this stuff. A huge influence actually from thrash metal, and it's in parts reminiscent of Amon Amarth, like melodic death metal in parts too. It's kind of this cool amalgamation of different sounds. They do have the acoustic instrumentation and the acoustic passages. In this area around London, Ontario, there's sort of a big Celtic heritage in these parts. So yeah, it makes sense that a Celtic folk metal band would come from here, and they rely on that sort of heritage and those musical styles, certainly, and it works well. I really dig this band. If you're into folk metal, I'd say check them out if you've never heard of them. If you have, and you're thinking to yourself, I thought you said these are going to be obscure bands, I'm sorry. Last band, Mullet Corpse, which, yes, pretty shit name for a band, I'll give you that. Mullet Corpse with their album Disinfect. So the story behind this thing, This band's from London, Ontario as well, actually. I saw this in a flea market. I looked at it and I was like, this is either brilliant or fucking awful. And I didn't buy it. I left it there. I went home and jumped on Metal Archives to see if it was on there, which it was, and to see what people thought about this album, which they hated. I think now at this point the rating on this album is 33%. It may have been less than that when I first saw it. Yeah, people who've taken the time to review this record fucking hate it. They think it's awful. And if you're anything like me, I immediately went out the next day to go back to that flea market and buy it. Because I had to hear what the fuck this band sounded like. Lo and behold, they're actually pretty good. It's meat and potatoes death metal, but sometimes that's what I'm looking for. But they do... It's such a fine line between death metal and brutal death metal, but they do cross that line at a few points in this. Even some technical death metal, like in the guitar work. There's some songs on here that, you know, it's not Origin-like, but it is reminiscent of it, in a way. Just the crazy guitar work, and like I said, just brutal death metal, and it's, God, it sounds decent. For a local death metal band, it's not a bad record. I don't understand why there's so much hate for it online. And that's it. Hopefully I kept it under a half hour. It certainly feels like it, if I had to guess. Shout out to Brainsmasher for this idea, though. I really like the idea of trying to inspire people, motivate people to get out and start doing more videos, especially in the metal YouTube community, which, you know, it's not the most exciting area on YouTube, let's not kid ourselves. And yeah, it's certainly inspiring me. It's going to motivate me, hopefully, to get back into this, because I do miss making videos. Thanks, Brainsmasher, for the video idea. Thank you for allowing me to enter this contest. I hope you dug it. If not, then I hope someone digs it. Or not, whatever. This has been Strange Radios. Stranger, adios.